Don't we all wish for the day when the house of our dreams is finally in our possession? We know we do. However, as life would have it, what we want hardly ever turns out good for us in the end. And unfortunately, this story proves just that. Unanswered questions, it is about Christopher, a new homeowner who got much and more from his remote and rural property. As we reveal the details of this story, you will soon realize that nothing is as it looks and everyone should get their home inspected before they buy it, and we mean everyone. Intrigued, he began investigating, but he did not know that going down the terrifying tunnel meant there was no going back. He kept going even when he was advised by a police officer and a realtor not to go any deeper. When Christopher was done with the investigation and all the proof was in front of him, he knew his only choice was to go away and never come back. What exactly did he find when he explored his new home? Christopher Wanless purchased a new property not that long ago. Resting on 16.5-hectare woodland fields, he was thrilled to own a space that was completely his own. Unbeknownst to him, he was about to stumble on a portal of sorts in the land he now owned. Nonetheless, it seems like this was what fate had in store for him. Once he went on a tour of his new property and its surrounding area. Suddenly, something caught his attention. Christopher was still in some sort of haze when he approached the direction of the object that caught his interest. It was rather small and dark, almost like it was in hiding. Although this was what he initially thought, he got the sense that he was wrong when he got closer. Christopher then stumbled and fell down into a 3-foot ditch. What he saw perplexed him. Did he really just discover a mine located on his property? He was thrilled to embark on a new adventure, so he went home to get a flashlight that would let him see what was hiding in there. He made it back to the entrance, now armed with a flashlight. He was holding his breath and he was welcomed by something sparkly on the walls as he stepped inside. What was it? When he neared the walls, he could not help but brush his hand around the sparkling material of the stones. He remembered thinking, what if this was gold? However, he soon forgot about all of that when he noticed something that could change the course of this adventure right away. It looked like there was a source of water, since there were fresh pools of water inside. He worried since he knew stagnant puddles in places like this could carry dangerous gases. Then began hearing noises echoing the tunnel. Curious, he started to follow the source of the noise, and he clearly did not know that this was the wrong move to take. He also began hearing voices. He could not tell what they were saying, but Christopher was brave enough to shout, "Who's there?" The only response he received was his echo. He was nearly 150 feet into the tunnel when he turned around and found some light near the entrance. He could not believe what he saw as soon as he looked back. He could only stand there for 2 seconds when his body finally reacted. He knew someone was there watching him. His heart was pounding when he ran all the way back to the entrance. He knew he had to escape and contact someone about what he found. Sweaty and terrified, he made his way home. Christopher immediately reached for his phone and got in touch with the realtor. The real estate agent told him they were sending someone to take a look at it. When we went to ask about the place, we were finally told that the estate had actually been home to quite a lot of mining sites. A lot of mining was done in these hills at the turn of the century, and there are a lot of little mines that are scattered across the hills, Christopher recalled. He headed back upstairs to fetch himself a glass of water and calm himself down. The moment he got there, however, he heard the doorbell ring. What was it now? Mr. Rudall quickly introduced himself and explained that the real estate agent sent him because of what Christopher just discovered. He wanted to see what he just found, and was intrigued about the substance that he described over the phone. Christopher showed Rudall to the entrance of the mine and told him to be careful as he made his way down to avoid hurting himself. They both took out their flashlights when they reached the mine. The sparkling substance looked even more evident, and the glare hit them in the face. Rudall started telling Christopher how the mine was definitely a gold mine that had been made a long time ago. As he stared at the walls, it was evident that the gold remained untouched. There was enough evidence that the miners did not finish the job and abandoned the mine instead. Why was that? Rudall then explained that there had been plenty of rumors about mining during the turn of the century, though he did not know about any particular gold mines before this one. So why did the miners abandon the mine and leave all that gold in there? Nothing positive came to mind, but Christopher wanted to know the truth. He willed up all his courage to further investigate the mine, and there were 2 things on his mind. 1, he could find gold instead. 2, it could also be haunted. Previously, He was only able to make it 150 feet into the tunnel. He knew that he needed to keep going no matter what happened. That was the only way he could get to the bottom of this. It was 600 feet into the tunnel that he discovered the source of the water. It was, get this, a door. He sucked in a breath and brought his fist up to knock, even though he knew he would not get an answer. He opened the door and got the shock of his life. It seems like he had entered a whole different world. Regardless of the weather outside, the room was freezing. He touched the walls and they felt colder and rougher than those outside. There were plenty of ruined objects huddled together, but it didn't make any sense to him. After all, why would anyone leave their stuff there? Someone lived there and it does not look like they were in a hurry to stay anywhere else. Christopher could not get the thought out of his head when another thing caught his interest. He saw a brick hideaway. This did not comfort him because who needed a hideaway in a door in a mine? The answer is someone trying to hide something important. Curious, he approached the hole, but he did not find anything there. Just as he was turning around to retreat, he found something else on the walls of the brick structure. Using his flashlight to light the bricks, he saw some white scratches scribbled on the walls. Christopher could not figure out what it said until he came nearer. He could then see that there were 4 vertical lines on the walls. It was odd, to say the least. As he thought about this, he found yet another thing that would appear in his nightmares. On the other wall, he found more scratches, but they weren't simple lines this time. No, he found an undecipherable message that he decided to document. He whipped out his camera and snapped a photo. Perhaps later he could use his computer to further investigate and decode it. All of a sudden, he heard something and a chill went through his body. There was someone else in there. It was getting louder, closer, and more frantic. He ran for his life. He then gathered himself and then headed for his house. When he made it to his house, he dived for his study and shut himself in there. There was something odd going on in the mine, and he wanted to find out the answers to his questions. He enlisted the help of the internet. He tried to Google haunted mines, and he felt goosebumps as the results were loading. Out of nowhere, the results page finished loading, and the first result read, "If you want to get rid of the paranormal activity in the mine, and subsequently in your life, you have to face it." In the middle of his search, he started hearing knocking in series of 3s. He felt a lump in his throat and swallowed. He managed to ask, "Hello?" He took a couple of steps and turned the handle of the door to his study. He went to the kitchen, but a whirring noise caught his attention. It was coming from his camera. Why the heck was his camera making noises? He found absolutely nothing on the SD card. It had been wiped. He grabbed the camera again and started sprinting for the mine. He decided to face whatever might be in there. He had had enough. Christopher mustered all of his courage as he went back to the mine. He was once again met with darkness, and when his eyes adjusted, he realized his mistake. What was he doing in this haunted mine? Stopped when he felt a blast of cold air. It hit him with such force that it almost felt like someone threw a basketball at him. The coldness left him feeling cold down to his bones. He kept walking through the dark corridor, but then halted abruptly. He could hear that the noise was too close. He felt hypnotized by what he was seeing, that he could not even process the sound of swooshing water. When his eyes adjusted, he saw a flood of water coming for him, not unlike a tsunami. "I must be going crazy!" As he was making his way out of the mine into salvation, he took another look behind his shoulder. He felt perplexed when he did not see any trace of water back there. All he saw was the footsteps he made in there. He started his trek to his house. He knew he had to tell someone who could actually help him solve the mystery. Christopher made his way through the dark woods, but halted when he saw a light. It was coming from his kitchen. Did he leave them on? He was almost sure he didn't. Was someone else inside? He entered the door, but the house felt alone and empty. It does not seem like anyone was there, so he probably left the lights on. Did everything really happen? He asked himself when he headed for his study and booted up his computer. He opened the search engine once more and started typing. The computer then let out a loud noise and the screen went black, as if it had shut down then and there. Christopher was both mentally and physically exhausted. The day completely wiped him out. He rested his face in his hands and felt a tug. Out of nowhere, there was something pulling at his feet. He then stumbled backwards and fell in the process. This was the last straw. He needed to get out of there and ask for help. Perhaps there was a rational explanation to what was happening. He started his car and went to the nearest cafe he could find. There he calmed his nerves and got a double espresso. He headed straight for his mother's house after that and immediately put the house up for sale. The developers in charge of the property tried to contact him, but they never heard back from him. Instead, his mother took his place and sold the property on his behalf. She was open to negotiating with anyone who expressed an interest in buying it. Now, there are plenty of questions surrounding the story. Did Christopher really see everything he claimed to have witnessed? Or was his mind playing tricks on him? Or was it truly haunted? While we will never know the answer to most of these questions, one thing we know for sure. Our homeowner has never visited the cursed gold mine ever since his last traumatic visit and warns everyone else to follow his suit.